Kalen Sterling stood on the balcony of his penthouse, the sprawling city lights of Lagos twinkling below him like a carpet of falling stars. The cool night air did little to soothe the familiar emptiness that had settled deep within his chest. He had everything a man could ever dream of: a business empire, Sterling Innovations, that dominated the tech industry across Africa, a fleet of luxury cars he barely drove, and a bank account with more zeros than he could count. Yet, he was a king ruling over a hollow kingdom. His life felt like one of his meticulously designed user interfaces, flawless on the surface, but lacking a soul. He swirled the amber liquid in his crystal glass, the ice clinking a lonely rhythm against the sides. The problem wasn't the wealth, it was the world that wealth attracted. He was surrounded by people, but connected to no one. Every conversation felt transactional, every smile a negotiation, every touch a prelude to a request. He was a prize, to be won, a resource to be tapped, not a man to be known. This feeling was most potent when he was with Zara, his girlfriend of 2 years. She was a vision, a perfect accessory for his public life, with a face that graced magazine covers and a style that turned heads. But their relationship felt like a long-term business contract, its terms unspoken but rigidly enforced. He provided a lifestyle of unimaginable luxury, and she provided the illusion of a perfect, enviable partnership. He heard the click of her heels on the marble floor behind him and braced himself. Zara glided onto the balcony, her silk robe shimmering under the moonlight. She wrapped her arms around him from behind, her touch light, almost rehearsed. "There you are, my love," she purred, her voice a smooth melody that had long lost its power to move him. "I was wondering where my handsome billionaire was hiding." She kissed his shoulder, her lips leaving a faint trace of expensive lipstick. Kalen didn't turn. He just stared out at the city, just thinking. "Zara," she sighed, a delicate sound of practiced exasperation. "Don't think too much, darling. It gives you wrinkles. Besides, I have a surprise for you." He finally turned to look at her. She was holding a small, exquisitely wrapped box. "I saw this today, and I just knew you had to have it," she said, her eyes sparkling with anticipation, not for his reaction, but for the validation she would receive for her impeccable taste. He took the box and opened it. Inside, nestled on a bed of black velvet, was a platinum watch, its face studded with microscopic diamonds that caught the light. It was a masterpiece of engineering and extravagance, easily worth more than most people's homes. "It's beautiful, Zara, thank you," he said, his voice flat. He had a collection of over 50 such watches, each one a monument to a hollow moment. Zara's smile faltered for a fraction of a second. She had expected more, a gasp, perhaps, a passionate embrace. "Just beautiful," she pressed, her tone shifting. "Kalen, this is the limited edition Zenith Chronomaster. There are only 10 in the world." He nodded, placing the watch back in its box. "I know, it's an incredible gift." But his words felt empty, and they both knew it. Her frustration finally bubbled to the surface. "Honestly, Kalen, what does it take to impress you anymore? I spend all day looking for the perfect things to make you happy, to complement our lifestyle, and you look at them like they're trinkets from a gift shop." He looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw past the flawless makeup and designer robe. He saw the calculation in her eyes, the hunger for status. "Maybe I'm tired of things, Zara," he said quietly. "Maybe I want something that can't be bought." She scoffed, a sharp, ungraceful sound. "Oh, please don't start with your philosophical nonsense. Everything can be bought. It's just a matter of finding the right price. Now, are you going to wear the watch or not? I was planning on posting a picture of it on your wrist. It would be perfect for my Power Couple series." And there it was, the transaction, the post, the performance. Kalen felt a profound wave of exhaustion wash over him. He wasn't in a relationship. He was the lead actor in Zara's social media drama. He placed the box on the marble railing. "I think I need some air," he said, walking past her and back into the cold, empty expanse of his penthouse, leaving her alone with the city lights and a watch worth millions that suddenly felt worthless. The decision solidified in his mind that night, an idea born of quiet desperation. If he couldn't find authenticity in his world, he would have to leave his world behind. He needed to strip away the name, the wealth, the power, and see who he was without them. More importantly, he needed to see how people would treat him without them. The plan was audacious, perhaps even foolish, but it felt like the only way to find a single, genuine human connection. He would go undercover in his own company, not as a mid-level manager or an intern, but as the lowest of the low. He would become a janitor. He would trade his tailored suits for a set of overalls, his corner office for a utility closet, and his name, Kalen Sterling, for something simple, something forgettable. The next morning, he called the only person he trusted implicitly, a man who had been with him since before the billions, before the fame. Mr. Adebayo was the head of security for Sterling Innovation. A stern, silver-haired man with eyes that saw everything and a loyalty as unshakable as a mountain. He arrived at the penthouse, his expression a mixture of concern and confusion. "Sir, your message was urgent. Is everything alright?" Kalen gestured for him to sit. "Adebayo, I need your help with something unconventional." He laid out the plan, his voice calm and steady. He would take a leave of absence, citing a need for a digital detox and spiritual retreat in a remote monastery, a story plausible enough for Zara and the board of directors. During that time, Adebayo would create a fake identity for him, complete with a backstory and employment records. He would be Leo, a man from a small village trying to make a living in the big city. Adebayo listened in silence, his face an unreadable mask. When Kalen finished, the old man was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke, his voice heavy. "Sir, with all due respect, this is madness. The risks are enormous. Your safety, the company's stability. The company will be fine." Kalen interrupted gently. "The board can handle things for a few months. My safety is your concern, and I know you will handle it discreetly. I need this, Adebayo. I need to know if there is still any good, any honesty left in the world when my money isn't there to buy it." Adebayo saw the look in his boss's eyes, not the look of a powerful CEO, but of a profoundly lonely man. He sighed, a slow surrender. "As you wish, sir. I will create the identity. I will arrange for your employment through a third-party cleaning service we contract. No one at Sterling Innovations will know who you are. I will monitor you from a distance, through the security feeds. Thank you, Adebayo," Kalen said, a weight lifting from his shoulders. "One more thing. No one can know, especially not Zara. She believes I am going to a silent retreat in Tibet." Adebayo nodded, a faint, knowing smile touching his lips. "I understand perfectly, sir. Your spiritual journey begins on Monday." As Adebayo left, Zara walked in, holding to tablets. "Darling, I've been looking at properties in Monaco since you'll be finding your inner peace. I thought I could find a new summer home for us. Which of these private beaches do you prefer?" she asked, completely oblivious. Kalen looked at her, then at the images of extravagant wealth on the screens, and felt a quiet resolve. His journey was not to a monastery in the mountains, but to the fluorescent lit hallways of his own building. He was not seeking enlightenment. He was seeking a single, on his soul. While Kaylin was planning his descent from the corporate throne, Almara was starting her day as she always did, long before the sun rose. Her world was a small, clean room in a crowded part of the city, a space she shared with the quiet hope of a better future. Her alarm was the first call to prayer from a nearby mosque, a sound that she found peaceful. She knelt by her thin mattress, her own prayers a silent, humble conversation with a God she believed saw her even when the world didn't. Her job at Sterling Innovations was more than just a source of income. It was a symbol of her ambition. To work in that gleaming tower, even as a cleaner, felt like being on the edge of a world she one day hoped to join. She wasn't just cleaning floors. She was polishing her dreams. She believed that hard work, honesty, and kindness were their own rewards. A philosophy that often made her seem naive to her more cynical colleagues. That morning, as she polished the glass doors of the main entrance, she saw one of the receptionists, a young woman named Bola, crying softly behind her desk. The other staff walked past, either not noticing or choosing to ignore her. Amara hesitated for a moment, then walked over, a clean cloth still in her hand. "Bola, is everything okay?" she asked, her voice gentle. Bola looked up, startled, and quickly wiped her eyes. "I'm fine, Amara, just a bad morning." "A bad morning shouldn't make you cry like that," Amara said, sitting on the edge of the desk. "Talk to me. Maybe I can help." Bola hesitated, then the words tumbled out. Her mother was sick, the hospital bills were piling up, and her salary was barely enough to cover rent. She was feeling overwhelmed, alone. "I don't know what to do," she sobbed. "I feel like I'm drowning." Amara didn't have money to offer, but she offered what she had. She put a comforting arm around Bola's shoulders. "You are not alone," she said firmly. "We will pray, and we will think. There is always a way. After work today, let's sit down and write out all your expenses. Sometimes, just seeing it on paper helps. And I will share my lunch with you today. It's not much, but you shouldn't cry." On an empty stomach, Bola looked at Amara, her eyes wide with surprise and gratitude. A cleaner, someone with far less than her, was offering her more kindness than any of her better paid colleagues. "Thank you, Amara," she whispered. "Thank you." Amara just smiled, gave her shoulder a final squeeze, and went back to her work. She didn't see it as a grand gesture. It was just who she was. She believed that a little bit of light, no matter how small, could push back the darkness. She had no idea that this simple, unwavering belief in goodness was about to be put to the ultimate test, or that the reclusive billionaire who owned the very building she was cleaning was about to walk into her life, disguised as a man who had even less than she did. Her world and his were about to collide in the most unexpected way. The transition from Kaylin Sterling, CEO, to Leo, the janitor, was jarring. On Monday morning, instead of being driven in his climate-controlled Maybach, he took 3 crowded buses, the city's chaotic energy a stark contrast to the insulated silence he was used to. He wore a faded blue jumpsuit, the fabric coarse against his skin, and carried a small bag with a bottle of water and a piece of bread the lunch Adebayo had insisted was part of his cover. When he arrived at Sterling Innovations, he used the service entrance for the first time, a dark, narrow corridor that smelled of disinfectant and damp concrete. A gruff supervisor, a man he'd probably passed in the hallway 100 times, without a second glance, handed him a mop and a bucket. "You're the new guy, Leo, right?" The supervisor grunted, not waiting for an answer. "Floor 15, the marketing department. Make sure the floors shine. The executives there are picky. Don't get in anyone's way." Kaylin, now Leo, nodded. the unfamiliar weight of the mop handle in his hand. He pushed the janitorial cart into the elevator, his reflection in the polished steel doors a stranger's face. His hair was shorter. He wore thick, non-prescription glasses, and Adebayo had even added a small, fake scar near his eyebrow to complete the transformation. The 15th floor was a hive of activity. Young, ambitious employees in sharp suits rushed past him, their phones pressed to their ears, their gazes sliding right over him as if he were part of the furniture. He started mopping, the repetitive motion surprisingly difficult. His back began to ache within the first hour. He learned quickly that being invisible also meant being an obstacle. People would walk right in front of his mop, leaving fresh shoe prints on the wet floor without a word of apology. A group of junior executives stood near the water cooler, laughing loudly. "Did you see Zara's post this morning?" One of them asked, a selfie from a private jet. Caption, "Off to my silent retreat in Tibet. Kaylin is so spiritual. Can you believe it?" They all snickered. Silent retreat. More like a shopping spree in Paris while the boss is away. Another one chimed in. Leo kept his head down, his knuckles wet on the mop handle, the sting of their casual mockery a fresh kind of pain. He was not just invisible. His entire life had become a punchline for their amusement. The real test came around noon. He was cleaning a small spill near the executive lounge when Zara, in all her glory, strode out, followed by a sycophantic-looking manager. She was supposed to be on her way to the airport, clearly. Her grief at his departure was short-lived. She was talking loudly on her phone. "Yes, of course. The jet is on standby. I'll be there by evening. Just need to finalize this marketing budget. Kaylin left me in charge of a few things. You know." She didn't see Leo, and her expensive heel came down right in the middle of the wet patch he had just cleaned. She slipped, catching herself on the manager's arm with a shriek. Her eyes, cold and furious, landed on Leo. You idiot," she hissed, her voice venomous. "Are you blind? You almost made me fall." Leo opened his mouth to apologize, but she cut him off. "Look at my shoe. It's ruined. Do you have any idea how much this costs? Of course, you don't. It's more than your entire life's salary." The manager immediately jumped in. "I am so sorry, Madam Zara. This is unacceptable. You, cleaner, what's your name?" Leo looked at the woman he had shared his bed with for 2 years, who now looked at him with the same disgust she'd reserved for an insect. "Leo," he said, his voice quiet. "Well, Leo," Zara sneered, handing her soiled shoe to the manager to wipe. "You should be fired. People like you have no place in a high-class establishment like this." She didn't wait for a response, simply turned and walked away, her entourage trailing behind her. Leo stood there, the dirty water from her shoe dripping from the manager's cloth onto the floor he had just cleaned. He had never felt so humiliated, so utterly insignificant. This was the reality of the world he had built, seen from the very bottom, and it was uglier than he had ever imagined. The rest of the day was a blur of aching muscles and quiet indignities. The manager gave Leo a harsh warning, threatening to have him fired if he ever endangered an executive again. Other employees who had witnessed the scene now openly smirked at him as they passed. He was no longer just an invisible janitor. He was the clumsy janitor who had angered the boss's powerful girlfriend. He found a secluded spot in the little-used stairwell to eat his lunch, the piece of bread feeling like sawdust in his mouth. He felt a despair so profound it threatened to swallow him whole. Maybe Adebayo was right. This was madness. What was he even trying to prove? That the world was cruel to the powerless. He already knew that. He was about to pack up and call Adebayo to end the charade when the stairwell door creaked open. It was Amara. She was carrying a small cleaning caddy and humming softly to herself. She stopped when she saw him, her eyes widening in surprise. He expected her to turn and walk away like everyone else. Instead, she gave him a small, hesitant smile. "Hello," she said softly. "You must be the new cleaner, Leo." "I'm Amara." Leo just nodded, unable to speak. "That was a rough morning for you," she continued, her voice full of a sympathy that felt like a cool drink of water in a dessert. "Don't mind them, Madame Zara. She can be very difficult." She looked at the piece of bread in his hand. "Is that all you're having for lunch?" Before he could answer, she opened her own small container. It held a modest portion of jollof rice and a piece of chicken. Without a word, she took a plastic fork, split the meal in half, and pushed the container towards him. "Here," she said. "You need your strength. This job is harder than it looks." Leo stared at the food, then at her. She was a cleaner, just like him. This was probably all the food she had for the day, and she was offering half of it to a complete stranger, a stranger everyone else was. Mocking. "I can't," he stammered. "It's your lunch." Amara smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that lit up her face. "My mother always said that a shared meal is a blessed meal. Besides, you look like you need it more than I do. Please, eat." Her kindness was so simple, so unadorned, it disarmed him completely. He took the container, his hand trembling slightly. "Thank you," he whispered, the words feeling inadequate. "Thank you, Amara." She just nodded, her smile still in place. "We have to look out for each other down here," she said, before picking up her caddy and continuing on her way, leaving Leo alone in the stairwell with a warmth spreading through his chest that had nothing to do with the food. He watched her go, a small, unassuming figure in the world of sharks and peacocks. In that moment, Kalen Sterling, the billionaire, felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in years. Hope. He had found one person, one honest, kind soul, and for now, that was enough to make the entire mad experiment worthwhile. He would stay. He would keep watching. He had to know more about the woman who shared her lunch with a janitor. Kalen, now fully committed to his role as Leo, began to observe the inner workings of his company with a new, ground-level perspective. He saw the waste, the inefficiencies, but mostly, he saw the people. He saw the fear in the eyes of junior staff when the manager walked by. He saw the office politics, the whispered gossip, the alliances and rivalries. It was a world away from the sanitized reports and polished presentations he saw in the boardroom. And through it all, he watched Amara. She was a constant. She treated everyone with the same quiet respect, from the security guards at the entrance to the executives who ignored her. She did her job meticulously, not to impress anyone, but because she took pride in her work. He learned to anticipate her schedule, and their paths would often cross. He'd see her helping another cleaner who was struggling with a heavy cart, or staying a few minutes late to repolish a smudged window that wasn't even in her designated area. Each small act of kindness was a stark contrast to the casual cruelty he witnessed from others. One afternoon, he was tasked with cleaning the executive restroom, a space of marble and chrome he himself had approved the designs for. As he was polishing the mirrors, the high-level female executives walked in, deep in conversation. They didn't even acknowledge his presence. "Zara is a nightmare to work with," one of them said, reapplying her lipstick. She rejected the entire Q3 marketing proposal because the font wasn't luxurious enough. "Can you believe it?" The other woman laughed. "That's nothing. Yesterday, she made her assistant cry because her latte had 1 pump of syrup instead of 2. She's on the power trip now that Kalen is away finding himself. I give their relationship 6 more months, tops. He'll get tired of her spending. Leo kept his back to them, his hands methodically wiping the mirror, but he absorbed every word. It confirmed what he already suspected. Zara's behavior wasn't a secret. It was a known, accepted part of the corporate culture. It was the price of proximity to power. As the 2 women left, Amara entered to restock the soap dispensers. She saw the grim look on Leo's face. Tough crowd, huh? She said softly. Leo just nodded. Don't let them get to you, she advised, her voice a comforting whisper. People who are truly happy don't need to make others feel small. Their words say more about them than they do about you. He looked at her, at the simple wisdom in her eyes. How do you do it, Almara? He asked, his voice raw. How do you stay so good in a place like this? She paused, thinking for a moment. I just remember that my work is a service, and my character is a reflection of my soul. I can't control how others act, but I can control who I am. I choose to be kind. It's the only real wealth we have. She gave him another one of her bright smiles and left the restroom, leaving Leo standing there, profoundly moved. Her philosophy was so simple, yet so powerful. It was the antithesis of everything Zara stood for. Later that week, a new crisis arose for Leo. The manager Zara had berated, eager to stay in her good graces, was now finding fault with everything Leo did. He accused Leo of leaving a streak on the floor, of not emptying a trash can fast enough, of taking a break that was 2 minutes too long. It was clear he was building a case to have him fired. The final straw came when a large, expensive vase in the main lobby was found to have a small crack. The manager immediately summoned Leo. This is your doing, he yelled, pointing a trembling finger at the vase. This is a priceless art piece. You were the last one cleaning in this area. You're fired. Pack your things and get out. Leo was stunned. He hadn't even been near the vase. But I didn't touch it, he protested. I swear. Lies. You're clumsy and incompetent, just like Madame Zara said. The manager spat. Almara had been cleaning nearby and had seen the whole thing. She stepped forward, her expression calm but firm. Excuse me, sir, she said. But Leo couldn't have done it. The manager turned his fury on her. And how would you know? Are you his lawyer now? No, sir, Almara said. I'm flustered, but I was here when the delivery men brought in the new floral arrangement. This morning, one of them bumped the vase with his trolley. I heard the sound. I'm sure if you check the security footage from around 9 a.m., you will see it. The manager's face went pale. He hadn't expected a witness, let alone one with such a precise memory. He stammered, then grumbled, Fine, I'll check, but you better be right. He stormed off towards the security office. Leo turned to Almara, his heart full of a gratitude that left him speechless. You didn't have to do that, he said. You could have gotten in trouble. Almara shrugged. It was the truth. It's not right to blame someone for something they didn't do. I told you, we have to look out for each other. The manager never mentioned the vase again, but from a secure monitor in his hidden office, Adebayo had watched the entire exchange. He saved the footage and sent a one-word message to Kellen's private phone. Incredible. Kellen, sitting in his small janitor's break room, read the message and smiled. Incredible was an understatement. Almara wasn't just kind, she was brave. She had courage, integrity, and a fierce sense of justice. She was everything he had been searching for, and he was falling for her hard. The company's annual Innovators Gala was approaching, a lavish event Kalen had always hosted but secretly loathed. It was a night of 4 smiles empty praise, and shameless networking. This year, with him away, Zara was stepping in as the de facto host, a role she relished. The entire building was buzzing with preparations, and the workload for the cleaning. Staff tripled. Zara was in her element, a whirlwind of demands and criticisms. The flowers weren't fresh enough. The lighting wasn't dramatic enough. The music wasn't exclusive enough. She treated the event staff with imperious disdain, her voice echoing through the halls. For Leo, the gala meant more humiliation. Zara, spotting him cleaning the large glass panels of the ballroom, seemed to take a special pleasure in tormenting him. "You, cleaner," she called out, snapping her fingers. "These floors better be clean enough for me to see my reflection in them. I don't want any of your street dirt tainting my gala." Later, she handed him a particularly demeaning task. He was to be stationed by the VIP restrooms for the entire night, armed with a cloth and spray, to wipe down the marble countertops after each guest. "I wanted to look pristine at all times," she commanded. "Don't speak to any of the guests. Don't even make eye contact. Your job is to be invisible and efficient." The night of the gala arrived. The ballroom was a sea of glitter and ambition. Men in tuxedos and women in shimmering gowns laughed and mingled, their voices a low hum of power and influence. Leo stood by the restrooms, his blue jumpsuit a stark contrast to the opulence around him. He felt like a ghost, watching a world he belonged to but could no longer touch. People brushed past him without a glance, their conversations a mix of business deals and social gossip. He saw the very board members he had appointed, the executives he had mentored, none of them giving him a second look. It was a profoundly isolating experience. Around 10 p.m., the restrooms emptied for a moment. Leo was about to start wiping the counters when the door opened. It was Amara. She was also in her cleaning uniform, holding a trash bag. She had been assigned to clear the waste bins from the service areas. She saw him standing there and gave him a tired but encouraging smile. "Long night, huh?" she said. "The longest," he admitted. "You shouldn't be in here," she said, nodding towards the ballroom. "It's too much, the way they all look through you. I'm used to it by now," he said with a sigh. She leaned against the wall, her presence a small island of calm in the chaotic night. "My father used to be a security guard in a big hotel like this," she said, her voice soft and distant. "He used to tell me stories about the rich guests. He said they weren't happier than us, just lonelier. They build walls of money around themselves and forget how to connect with real people." Leo looked at her, captivated. "Your father sounds like a wise man." "He was a good man," she said, a sad smile on her face. "He passed away a few years ago. He's the one who taught me that your job doesn't define your worth, your heart does." They stood in a comfortable silence for a few minutes, a shared moment of humanity amidst the artificial glamour. It was the most real conversation Kaylin had had in years. "You should get going, Almara," he said finally. "You don't want to get in trouble," she nodded. "You too, Leo. Keep your head up. The night will end eventually." She gave him one last smile and slipped out the door, leaving him with a feeling of warmth and a deep, aching longing. He wasn't just falling for her. He was in awe of her. She was a queen in a cleaner's uniform, her spirit more valuable than all the diamonds in the room combined. He knew then that this charade had to end, but it had to end in a way that would not only expose the truth, but also honor the one person who had shown him what was truly priceless. The moment he had been waiting for, the breaking point, came later that night. It was orchestrated by Zara, her cruelty reaching its peak. A famous actress, a guest of honor, had dropped her diamond earring, and it had rolled under a large, heavy decorative cabinet in the main hall. A small crowd had gathered, watching as security tried unsuccessfully to retrieve it. Zara, seeing an opportunity for a power display, spotted Leo emerging from the restroom hallway. "You, janitor," she called out, her voice sharp and commanding, drawing the attention of everyone nearby. "Come here." Now Leo walked over, his heart beginning to pound. "Yes, ma'am. My guest has lost her earring under this cabinet. You're small and used to being on the floor. Get down there and find it," she ordered, a smirk playing on her lips. The crowd murmured. The humiliation was palpable. She was treating him not like an employee, but like a dog. "Go on," she insisted, tapping her foot impatiently. "We don't have all night." Leo looked at her, then at the faces in the crowd, the smirks, the pity, the indifference. He saw the actress, looking embarrassed but not intervening. He saw the manager from the vase incident, nodding in approval of Zara's actions. And in that moment, all the pain, the loneliness, and the indignity of the past few months crystallized into a single, cold point of clarity. This was it. This was the moment of truth. He slowly got down on his hands and knees, the expensive fabric of the carpet rough against his skin. The crowd leaned in, some even taking out their phones to record the spectacle. Zara's smile widened. She had won. She had reduced the annoying janitor to his rightful place, crawling on the floor at her command. "Do you see it yet?" she asked, her voice dripping with condescension. Leo didn't answer. He didn't look for the earring. Instead, he reached into the inner pocket of his jumpsuit. He pulled out his phone, not the cheap burner phone of Leo the janitor, but the sleek, custom-made smartphone of Kaylin Sterling. He pressed a single speed dial number. Across the room, Adebayo, dressed impeccably as the head of event security, answered his earpiece. "Yes, sir." Leo's voice was quiet, but it carried a new weight. "Adebayo," he said, still on his knees, but now looking directly at Zara. "Seal the exits. No one leaves the ballroom." Zara's smirk faltered. The crowd went silent. Who was this janitor talking to? What was happening? Leo slowly, deliberately, stood up. He brushed the dust from his knees. He took off the thick glasses, his sharp, intelligent eyes now clear and focused. He ran a hand through his hair, pushing it back into its familiar, commanding style. The transformation was subtle, yet total. The slumped shoulders of Leo, the janitor, straightened into the confident posture of Kaylin Sterling, the CEO. He walked past the stunned Zara, past the gaping crowd, and straight towards the stage where the band had just finished a set. He took the microphone from its stand. "Good evening, everyone," he said, his voice, now stripped of its feigned humility, booming through the silent ballroom. "I trust you are all enjoying the gala." A collective gasp rippled through the room. It was him. It was Kaylin Sterling, but he was wearing a janitor's uniform. Zara's face had turned a ghastly shade of white. Her mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. The manager who had tried to fire Leo looked like he was about to faint. Kellen's gaze swept across the room, cold and assessing. "For the past few months, I have been on a journey, not in Tibet, as some of you have been gossiping about, but right here, among you. I wanted to see the true heart of the company I built. I wanted to see what my people were really like when the boss wasn't watching." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "And I have seen it. I have seen the casual cruelty, the gossip, the hypocrisy. I have seen how you treat the people you consider beneath you." His eyes landed on Zara. "I saw how my own fiancée treats a man she believes to be a janitor, humiliating him for sport." He then looked at the marketing manager. "I saw how a manager would rather believe a lie and fire an innocent man than question the word of a powerful woman." The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. But Kalen continued, his voice softening slightly. I also saw something else. I saw kindness where I least expected it. I saw integrity in the face of injustice. I saw a soul so pure, and could it shone like a diamond in the dark. His eyes scanned the room, searching. Amara. He called out, Amara, where are you? From the back of the room, near the service exit, Amara stepped out from the shadows, her face a mask of utter confusion and shock. She looked from the man on stage to the janitor she knew as Leo, her mind unable to connect the two. Kellen's eyes met hers across the crowded room, and he gave her a small, genuine smile. Please, he said, his voice now gentle. Come up here. Amara felt as if her feet were rooted to the floor. The entire room, a galaxy of wealth and power, had turned to look at her. The cleaner in a simple uniform, Kalen or Leo, her mind was still reeling, waited patiently on the stage, his gaze holding hers. Hesitantly, she began to walk forward, the sea of elegant guests parting for her as if by magic. The journey to the stage felt 1,000 miles long. When she finally reached the steps, Kalen came down to meet her, extending his hand. His touch was warm and firm, a silent reassurance. He led her onto the stage, to the center of the universe, and stood beside her, facing the stunned audience. This, Kalen said into the microphone, his voice resonating with a power that commanded absolute attention, is Amara. For the past few months, while many of you have been laughing behind my back or jostling for power, this woman has shown me the meaning of true character. He turned to look at her, his expression full of an admiration so profound it was breathtaking. When I had nothing to offer, when I was just Leo the janitor, a man everyone else mocked or ignored, Amara showed me kindness. She shared her food with me when I was hungry. She defended me when I was falsely accused, risking her own job to speak the truth. She treated me with dignity when everyone else treated me like dirt. He turned back to the crowd, his voice hardening. Again, you all see wealth in bank accounts, in designer clothes, in the cars you drive. You are all blind. True wealth, the only wealth that matters, is this. He gestured towards Amara. It is integrity. It is compassion. It is a good heart. His eyes found Zara in the crowd. She looked like a statue, her face a frozen mask of horror. Zara, he said, his voice cold and final, our engagement is over. The life you enjoyed was built on the foundation of this company, a company whose values you clearly do not share. Your access to all my accounts and properties will be terminated by midnight. Security will escort you out. A collective gasp went through the room. Zara finally broke, a strangled sob escaping her lips as two of Adebayo's men moved quietly towards her. Kalen then looked at the marketing manager. Mr. Adekanal, you are fired. Your willingness to sacrifice an innocent person to curry favor is a cancer in this organization. I want you out of this building tonight. The man sagged as if he'd been physically struck. Kellen's gaze swept over the rest of the stunned faces. Let this be a lesson to all of you. From this day forward, the culture at Sterling Innovations will change. We will value character above connections. We will reward integrity above ambition. We will treat every single employee, from the boardroom to the mailroom, with the respect they deserve. If you cannot abide by these new rules, the door is open. He then put down the microphone and turned to Amara, who was standing beside him, tears silently streaming down her face. He gently wiped a tear from her cheek with his thumb. I'm sorry for the deception, Amara, he whispered, his voice for her alone. But it was the only way I could find you. You're the CEO, she whispered back. still trying to process everything. "I am," he said, "but the man you showed kindness to, the man who is in awe of your strength and your heart, that was just Leo." He looked into her eyes, his heart open and vulnerable for the first time in his life. "I went searching for an honest person, but I found so much more. I found you." The resolution was swift and decisive. Zara, stripped of her access to wealth and status, faded into obscurity, her social media accounts going silent. The story of the billionaire who went undercover became a corporate legend, and the culture at Sterling Innovations truly did change. Kaylin implemented new policies that promoted respect and dignity for all employees, with harsh penalties for mistreatment of junior staff. He created a charitable foundation funded with millions of dollars to support orphans and provide educational scholarships, and he asked one person to run it. Almara, at first, was hesitant. "But I don't know anything about running a foundation," she had said. "You know everything that matters," Kaylin had replied. "You know how to be kind. You know how to see the humanity in people. I'll hire the experts to handle the logistics. You will provide the heart." She accepted, and she excelled. Her lived experience gave her a unique empathy and wisdom that no business degree could provide. The foundation flourished, changing thousands of lives. And as for Kaylin and Amara, their love story became the company's most cherished tale. He didn't just offer her a job or a new life. He offered her his heart, completely and without reservation. He courted her slowly, respectfully, earning her trust and her love. Their wedding was not a lavish gala, but a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and the children from her foundation. There were no posts for social media, no magazine deals. It was real, just for them. One evening, a year after the gala, they stood on the same penthouse balcony where Kellen's journey had begun. The city lights twinkled below, but the emptiness inside him was gone, replaced by a profound sense of peace and joy. Almara leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever miss being the CEO?" she asked playfully. Kalen smiled, wrapping his arm around her. "I am still the CEO," he said, "but I finally learned what it means to be rich." He looked down at her, his heart full. In his search for an honest wife, he had to become a poor janitor. But in doing so, he had found a wealth far greater than anything money could buy. He had found his soul.